I let my friend stay at our house, and he ended up staying in my girlfriend's arms instead, and now it's over. I, 25M, have been living with my girlfriend, 25F, for over 2 years now, and we've been dating for about 6 years since we met in college. We've both been out of college for roughly 2 years, and one of my friends who moved out of the country announced he was coming back for a visit. I offered for him to stay with us. My girlfriend has never met this friend, we'll refer to him as Larry, but Larry and I had Skype calls, and she was often around and got to know him through me. Anyway, we were all excited. Fast forward, Larry arrives, everything is going well, but about 2 to 3 weeks into his stay, I became increasingly uncomfortable with the way Larry and my girlfriend were acting together. I vented my feelings to her, and she assured me nothing was going on. I didn't say anything to Larry. Eventually, Larry's little nuances got to me, we'd have small feuds over nothing, and I asked him to move out and find somewhere else to stay. Cue some bitterness between Larry and me. Now, Larry left last weekend. He's gone. A few days back, I noticed my girlfriend's Facebook had some messages from Larry. When I asked her about it, she quickly closed the window and told me it was nothing, just Larry trying to understand why I was bitter at him. In my mind, I felt he was exceeding his boundaries as my friend, so I decided to cut him off. My girlfriend would scold me and call me a miserable person. We even had a little fight about it when I told her I didn't want Larry to stay over the night before his flight. She eventually apologized, but I was still disappointed that she didn't have my back or understand my feelings. Anyway, I should go back to the Facebook messages. Today, I was just shutting down our PCs after she had gone to bed, and my curiosity got the best of me. I know, this is bad. I opened her Facebook, she was already logged in, and I noticed a message from Larry that was unread. I opened it and went through their conversation history, and this is where I wanted to throw up. Basically, they met up at least once behind my back when I was on a business trip, and they wanted to coordinate another visit, but my girlfriend didn't feel it would work out. Larry replied that he needed to hold her again and missed her very much, calling her things like sweetie. I was livid. Words cannot describe how I felt reading that. The combination of anger, despair, sadness, betrayal, and pure rage was too much for me to take. She had also sent him a photo of a campfire from this weekend, when we were together, saying, "I miss you." I confronted her. I had to wake her up at 1 a.m. to ask her. At first, she was sleepy and denied it all, but when I told her I'd read their conversation history, and that I was sorry for violating her privacy but had to know why she was keeping this from me, she understood how deeply hurt I was. I explained my feelings. I was hurt, betrayed. I housed this guy, showed him a good time for a month, and even after all of this, she told me I was the crazy one. Now my worst suspicions are true. Larry is obviously cut from my life. I can't have toxic people like that around. But my girlfriend is another problem. I'm seriously head over heels in love with her and don't want to lose her. On the other hand, my heart is torn, and I have too much self-respect to continue dating her. She completely destroyed my trust, and what's worse is that she humiliated me by going after one of my friends whom I let stay with us. I feel like I've screwed myself in a lot of ways, and that I should have seen this coming, but I was naive. Anyway, we both have to work tomorrow, but I'm seriously at a loss for words. My girlfriend and I have only spoken a bit. I mean, it is late at night, it's about 4:15 a.m. as I type this, and I've gotten zero sleep tonight, even after driving around and bawling my eyes out in an empty parking lot. What she did tell me was that she didn't think I loved her anymore, and that every time she tried to talk to me about something serious, I'd make jokes and laugh it off. I know this isn't easy to hear, and I admit to being immature, but damn, I thought we were stronger than this. I guess the lesson has been learned. Regardless, I'm at a loss for words. I feel like us breaking up is inevitable, and it makes things so complicated seeing as I just bought this house about 10 months ago, and we share a dog. She's even driving a car that I gave her. I know splitting things up won't be easy, and to be honest, I don't want her to go. But like I said, my brain is telling me this is what needs to happen, yet my heart feels otherwise. /relevant comments. Commenter. You should break up with her. Period. She lied to your face and humiliated you repeatedly, only breaking down when she was backed into a corner. And now it sounds like she's trying to shift the blame onto you. Even if what she said were true, that you didn't take things seriously, it really seems like she didn't make much of an effort. She clearly didn't respect the relationship enough to address issues before resorting to cheating. I'm sorry, I don't have anything useful to say about the house situation since I don't have any knowledge in that area. But it shouldn't be a deciding factor in whether or not you stay with her. It's just a tough situation, but on the bright side, you're 25 and presumably financially stable, since you bought a house. Cut both of them out of your life and don't look back. Ops response. Thanks, this was actually the first positive thing I've thought. Update 20 days later. It's been almost 20 days since this all went down. I've had a lot of time to myself, and my job keeps me on the road, so I've had a few business trips in the meantime to keep me distracted. I'm so far enjoying the new lifestyle I'm trying to build for myself. I have a lot of free time, and I'm enjoying having full control over my schedule and the tasks I do day to day. Being able to plan for just myself is relieving, and I'm starting to look back and see all the flaws that were present in my past relationship, flaws I now really see as red flags. Overall, I was pretty unhappy when I was with my ex. I'm recognizing that now. I endured the unhappiness and kept going because I felt that this is what normal guys do in long-term relationships, the sunk cost fallacy. I also thought she was loyal. So, case in point, I didn't see any reason to break things off. From that point of view, I recognize I have some personal faults that I need to fix in order to consider myself healthy again. I met someone when I was on one of my trips, and we had sex in my hotel room. It was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. It was way too soon after the breakup. The second we started, I was hit with a tidal wave of emotion. I immediately thought of my ex, since she was the only person I'd had sex with before. The actions were so ingrained in my head from being with her, and looking down and realizing I wasn't with her made me sick and very upset. I couldn't finish. I ended up rolling over and trying to hold back my tears. Thankfully, she was understanding when I told her I had just gotten out of a relationship, and she decided to leave without any commotion. She was even kind enough to tell me she knows how it feels and that it will get better with time. I'm definitely not going to call her again. I regret even putting myself in that scenario, but granted, I learned something about myself afterward. My ex didn't really have any of her own friends. This should have been another red flag. She was constantly around my friends, and to be honest, I didn't really mind. But now I see how broken it is for a person to lack any best friend or group of people they saw before we got together and continued to see while we were together. My friends have always been there for me, even the ones I knew before my ex. Granted, she's now on her own. I have no idea who she's talking to about this whole scenario aside from her immediate family, and I don't really care. I've had the talk with a few mutual friends Larry and I shared. Everyone is pretty much shocked, but they also told me they had a feeling something was going on, though Larry would lie to them when they'd ask. Larry has since tried to reach out to some of them and rectify the situation, but they've already heard the story from me first, so most of them have cut Larry out of their lives. But to be honest, I'm not very close with these people and don't plan on growing closer to them in the future. Larry was the only crux of our relationship, so if they do continue associating with him, I definitely wouldn't be happy and wouldn't mind cutting off contact with them as well. This actually became an issue with one of our mutual friends, we'll call him John. John's a good guy, we have similar interests, and he was around a lot of the time Larry was. John was over at my house this past weekend since he had just picked up his new car from a dealership near my place. He lives 1.5 hours away. So John and I are shooting the crap, and it's kind of inevitable for us to talk about what happened. He brought up how he talked to Larry and how Larry is still lying to him. This kind of irked me. I told John the first didn't care about Larry and that if he was going to continue to associate with Larry, then I couldn't see us continuing to be friends. John was obviously a little upset by this, saying he just can't process what happened and wants to give Larry a chance to explain himself. I told him that's fine, but again, it's like he's condoning these actions, and if he wants to get burned in the future, that's his own decision. I just don't want Larry around me in any shape or form, and if John wants to be around me, he needs to understand that. It's not like Larry broke my car and refuses to pay, the guy stabbed me in the back, and I can't ever forget that, even if, in time, I find it in myself to forgive Larry, which right now, I can't. Larry is dead to me. We talked only briefly after I kicked my ex out, and it was mostly us cursing at one another. Very childish. Like I said, I knew I wouldn't get any closure out of talking to him and hearing him try to explain himself. Larry and my ex are both very broken people. They blame others for their own unhappiness and feel justified when their behaviors cause others to become upset. Now, as for me, well, my head is a colossal mess about 12 hours every day. I've been getting high to keep my cool and enjoy video games, but there are a lot of times I avoid it altogether because I know I feel depressed, and it will only drive me to be sadder since I'll dwell on my feelings and the past. Moving on is one of the hardest things I've had to do in my whole life. I've heard stories from others saying they're happy to hear this happen to me. Why? Well, they've had the same thing happen, except after 30 years of marriage and 3 kids. So they felt like they were not only robbed of some of the best years of their life, but now they also have a financial obligation toward the person who manipulated and hurt them the most. I don't feel better hearing about how worse it could have been, but I'm happy we never had any kids or decided to marry. I definitely would have been dealing with another sideshow of a scenario. Here's another kicker, my ex's sister, only 2 years older than her, did the exact same thing at the start of this year to her own husband, literally 3 days after we got back from their destination wedding. She met another guy at their wedding and decided this was the guy for her, screwed him, still went through with the wedding, and afterward, once everyone got back, broke it off with the dude. I didn't know the full story, and at the time, we just moved into our new home, so I invited her to stay with us until she got back on her feet. When she started seeing this new guy, I was really uneasy about it. This was also complicated because she was living with us and didn't seem to have any plans to move out. I had to coach her on how to get a loan for a down payment, how to talk to landlords, etc., etc. Very immature family. This should have been another huge red flag, but I ignored it and had to deal with the consequences. I've actually reconnected with her ex-husband, named Tim. Tim and I were friends throughout our relationships with these sisters, and I was sad to see Tim go the way he did, but I was on the sisters' side by association. So even if I felt things weren't right, there was nothing I could have done about it. In retrospect, I should have kicked both of those crazy beaches out and told them to go get a life. More about me: I'm hitting the gym, trying to eat healthy, spending more one-on-one time with my dog, and overall just trying to take it easy. This is such a huge change in my lifestyle that it's not something I can adjust to quickly. Even though my work schedule has me flying somewhere new every week, it's really tough still managing everything and ensuring I'm not stressing myself out with my own expectations. I'm still used to having my ex-girlfriend's voice in my head, telling me to rush home and be with her. I've been having a lot of dreams where I see her and Larry together. They're both tormenting me. I've had dreams where I hurt Larry very badly. I feel bad about these dreams because even though I want revenge, I don't like causing pain to other human beings. It's not like I can't hurt him. I've hurt others in the past, sports, but I never took pleasure in that, even though my teammates did at times. So it's just not in me. Although I'd love to visit him in his home country and kidnap him and cue some torture, these are just weird things I say to keep myself from going insane. I still feel a lot of pain and guilt about what happened, and I shouldn't have to. This is a process, I know. I always go back and read the original thread I started when I'm feeling weak and want to text or call the ex. I've held strong on the no contact, but a few times I did message her. Once, when I found a receipt from a couple's massage retreat when I was out of town, on another occasion, I just wanted to let her know I found another piece of evidence. Really, there was no point to this, I was just in pain and feeling weak. She lied through her teeth about everything, told me how she wanted me back and how she wants to off herself. It felt kind of good hearing that, but still, it's a twisted feeling, and I know I shouldn't be talking to her. She is toxic. She lies and had no problem deceiving me. I just feel like such a fool for spending so many years with her, and to top it off, the amount of humiliation I feel when I imagine her with Larry is just beyond this world. I used to have a lot of self-confidence, but now I feel like a literal piece of crap. I feel used, worthless, ready to be discarded. Almost as if I deserve this to happen, sometimes. Other times, I'll rebound from this and try to build myself up. The best times I feel are when I'm in the gym or running outside. Thinking about the two of them has fueled a few good sets for me, and I hope to continue taking advantage of this hate for a bit longer. So anyways, TLDR, my head's still a mess. My heart's spinning. I'm trying to adjust, and some days are good, other days not so good. Thanks for all the support. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Just be careful and don't make the mistake of getting back together with her, and I'd honestly avoid too much socialization. It's surprising how easily my friends have been sucked back into unhappy relationships after swearing they'd never get back together. Just take your time. Continue to live your life to the fullest and don't look back. Ops response. You're right, and even in my original thread, a lot of commenters said the same. I've had friends IRL say the same as well. Even as I type this, I want to just call her and tell her how much of a beach she is, but I know it's all futile. No contact is the way to go.